Okay, let's talk Indiana. The Hoosiers are next up. Gross. Ew. That's my quick summary tonight. I give them a lot of credit for gutting it out late. This game was very much up in the air with not so much time left on the clock. I think there was like 8 minutes left. And at a certain point, they were down, I think it was 6 to Florida Gulf Coast late in the second half. And they stormed out with a 14-0 run that, quite frankly, straight up was spurred by Mike Woodson. Mike Woodson coached them to a victory tonight by, on the fly, in his first real game with this group, correctly dissecting who needed to be on the floor and who didn't. And what that meant was he benched Mackenzie Mgbako. And it worked. He brings in Cups, who I didn't think Cups looked fantastic, but he definitely was ready to play. There's no concern that Gabe Cups could be like a 30-minute guy on this team if needed, even if it's just in like a 4th, 5th option role. Until that late turnover, I thought Cups took care of the ball. He wasn't afraid to shoot. He hit some shots. So that's who he went with. He went Cups over Mgbako with Galloway sliding down to the 3. No more all big lineups. Went small when it mattered. And what do you know? It worked for Indiana. They survive and get a victory. Is it crazy to just give Mike Woodson his flowers? You're not a Woodson guy usually, so he deserves some flowers, right?
No, 100%. And I actually, speaking to reference my iPhone notes app from the game, it is because do you know you can put GIFs into your iPhone notes app? I don't know if you knew you could do that, but it's a GIF of a guy doing the chap on the chest and saying that's on me. Because I said a lot of comments about like Mike Woodson, and some of them are jokes. I will say that if people watch our podcast, they know how that operates. I've made jokes about, Mike Woodson being the old guy, old school, takes naps, all that type of stuff. But in a critical moment when he was somewhat on the ropes against Florida Gulf Coast at home in his first game, after all that's been said of the offseason, made the decision to bench his starter McDonald's All-American 5-star kid for the betterment of the team because it fit better and it worked. And he looks like a genius for doing it. And I give him all the credit in the world for doing it, because though it might look easy to do as we're sitting on our couch tweeting about it, coaches got to live with those decisions. Like if that didn't go, let's say this game didn't go well, the timeline right now would be full of, we're losing games, we're benching Mackenzie Mgbako down the stretch, our 5-star kid. That's not the case. He pulled the right strings. He made the right call. He made the tough decision, which is not easy to do. And they won the basketball game. And I thought that for most parts of this game, I was a little bit disappointed in the defense of the backcourt, mainly Xavier Johnson and Trey Galloway. I thought that they kind of hang their hat on defense, and they were letting the Florida Gulf Coast guards get to the lane at will. But yeah, I mean, when it came to winning time and making the run, Xavier Johnson made some plays. Galloway made plays. Gabe Cups is going to be a cult hero in Bloomington. I think he could come on the floor and breathe, and the assembly hall will erupt. But he's also a really good player as well. So yeah, some good things. But I also will say that the allegations of their offense being God, why am I missing this word right now? Gee, it's an easy one. Clunky. Sorry. Clunky and kind of nasty. Those allegations were coming true and to fruition in the first half, because it didn't look that great, and it didn't look that great for parts of the second half as well. But like you said, credit to Mike Woodson for making the adjustments and for them escaping with this game, because it could have been a disaster.
Yeah. Yes. 100%. It could have. Okay. While we're giving him credit, which I think we should, it's kind of a backhanded compliment to me, because I'm learning, like, I trust Mike Woodson in games. I think that's where I'm at with Mike Woodson. I don't trust Mike Woodson from a roster building standpoint, because he shouldn't have had to coach himself out of this in his first game, right? Like, Mike Woodson, congrats. You figured out how to fix the problem Mike Woodson created, which is you only had a bazillion power forwards on this team. And like, man, there was a moment, I think early in the second half, where it was a close game, and like the ball swung around the perimeter to a wide open Mackenzie Mgbako, who was wide open, mind you. And he like took 2 steps in to be inside the 3-point line for a long 2 jumper. And I was just like, oh my goodness, this is never going to work. It's just not going to work. If Mackenzie Mgbako is doing that right now and not comfortable just standing at the 3-point line, catching and shooting, it's not going to work. And I think that's even if Xavier Johnson was awesome. And sorry, Indiana fans, Xavier Johnson was not awesome tonight. So many of you keep trying to tell me that this guy is as good as Boo Buie or as good as Jameer Young or as good as whoever you want to call it. Like, he's just not. He's not a top tier point guard in this conference. And based on the way your roster is set up, he has to be, and that's really frustrating. But tonight, I mean, you step back at it broadly, the numbers aren't horrible. He shot well. He was 5 for 9 from the floor, 14 points. He was only 3 for 6 from the line. He only had 1 assist. I mean, Kel'El Ware led this team in assists. He had double the number of assists that any other Hoosier had tonight.
Yeah, that was his career high in assists, by the way, too, Kel'El Ware.
Crazy. While we're talking Ware, though, we should give him some kudos.
Yeah.
I thought overall, he looked really, really good tonight.
Yeah, he looked he looked engaged. He looked really well. He played extremely well, and especially in that first half. And I was thoroughly impressed with his decision-making, catching that ball in the middle and making the decision to who to pass it to. It just sucks that some of those passes were going to Mackenzie Mgbako for, long twos. Damn, that half-court alley-oop from Doug to Olivier was nasty. Sorry, I got number 2 on SportsCenter, by the way, Greg, if you were wondering.
Do you want to revisit that, by the way? Because you were really trying to do just one game. Like, did you see the alley-oop, dog?
Yeah, that play was nasty.
Okay. I mean, a lot of vibes from Doug tonight that was like, if you could just combine the good parts of A.J. Hoggard and Tyson Walker together, in one body that has 3 more years of eligibility.
Hey, I don't want to be a plagiaristic podcast, but shout out to my dog Rafael Davis. He actually said on the post game after the Michigan game that Tyson Walker and AJ Hoggard are probably watching this game sick because of their performance. Not even so, whatever their performance last night, and then watching Michigan guards, aka Doug, come out and do what he did tonight in a win.
I mean, just what Michigan State guards have always needed, a manufactured chip on their shoulder to get them going. Nothing like that. I'm sure you guys will bounce back just in time to beat Duke. Because they saw Doug McDaniel play well against UNC Asheville. That's the boost your best backcourt in the country needs to get going. Like, what are we doing, man? I'm sorry. I love you, Rafael. I really do. But, like, that's where our head is at tonight. Doug McDaniel's fantastic. And we're like, I bet AJ got going. Like, what?
Hey, wasn't me.
Who needs to get going for Xavier Johnson to get going? Does he need to go watch Braden Smith highlights or something? Like,
I don't know. Maybe look at Boo Buie.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, I thought Ware was awesome. We did a lot of like, who's the best big in the offseason, like Renault, Ware, Mgbako. I think it's pretty clear at this point, like Ware's the best one, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a night 1 overreaction. I think that's just like, no, where's the pro here? Like Renault's a 4-year college big. Mgbako. I have no idea what's going to happen to Mgbako, quite frankly. I don't know how you play.
I'm a little fearful of that.
How do you play Mgbako next to those 2 other bigs? I don't think you can.
Yeah, you know where I might have to make an early overseason reaction. You know how I said like Renault and how I like. And granted, I thought Renault looked good tonight. He wasn't put in the best positions defensively when he had to play the 3 basically and chase around shooters. A lot of miscommunications on defense. But like, if I'm an Indiana fan, I'm wondering what this team would look like, and put whoever you want at the 3 would actually put a 3 out there. But like, what does this team look like if it's Mgbako and Ware are the front court? Isn't that like a really good front court?
I don't know. I think
maybe on paper, like it is.
I need to see more Mgbako, I think. Yeah, I love the idea of Mgbako, but I don't think Mgbako did anything well tonight.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think Mgbako is going to be. This goes back to the whole thing we were saying during the summer. And Mackenzie Mgbako is not going to be put in a position to succeed because you're playing him at the 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. He's kind of a tweener, though, dude. Like, he looked smaller than I thought out there. He looked like he's been trying to prepare to be a 3 or be a guard. And I don't know. I feel like he's a tweener that, like, isn't a shooter fully yet, but is kind of a shooter. And I don't know, just all around uncomfortable. You looking back at your Trey Holloman beer right now?
I can't put into words, and I want everyone to grasp this, how bad this is. I just want to make sure no one ever buys this.
Okay. All right, great. Potential sponsor that we cross off. Is Indiana going to be fine? That's the last question I have for you. They host Army this weekend. Then they play Wright State at home. Then all of a sudden things get interesting because they play UConn. The next month they're playing Auburn. They're playing Michigan and Maryland. They're playing Kansas, all in a 4-game stretch. Shit could get real quick for the Hoosiers. Do you think that they're going to be fine and this was just like a feel it out game? Or do you think this is my red flag coming true that this team's just not good?
No, they were lucky to escape in this game. And also, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that Florida Gulf Coast was missing their leading scorer, Isaiah Thompson, 16 points a game. And like this was still a dogfight to the very end for this Indiana team. And even like even at the end of the game, they found themselves up 10 points. And then Malik Renault throws the ball inbounds to the other team. They shoot a 3, and then they get a steal right after that. Why is Malik Renault even taking the ball out for your team? Like, it's just, no, it's Indiana fans should have a deep sigh of relief for escaping this game with a win, but they should be deeply concerned on the outlook of this team if this is what it is. And to overreact, this might be what this Indiana team is, by the way. There's a chance this is what it is.
Yes.
It's also a chance it's not, but there's a chance that this is.
I'll say this, as I think I'm the loudest vocal critic of Indiana all offseason. At least I didn't hear anybody louder vocal than me on it. Like, I've been pretty upfront. I think this team's just bad. They're not going to make the tournament. I will say this. I think the fact that they came together and found the small ball lineup this quickly bodes really well that Woodson could coach them out of this. Because in my mental scenario where this team is actually really bad, I thought they wouldn't figure that out until like mid-January at earliest. So if they didn't, I'll say it straight up. I don't think if they put Cups in for Mgbako in this game, I think they just lose the game. I think they lose the game. I think they probably lose it by 10 to 12 points with the way that game was going. And instead, Woodson pulled the right cards. That's credit to him. Like, give him credit, man. He coached them to a victory tonight, and it worked. He might have to keep doing that, and it might make Mgbako unhappy. Back to our whole, is the guy happy? Is he unhappy thing? But it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a very hard job for Woodson to do. But I feel more confident after tonight that Woodson will actually be able to coach them there to a place that I didn't think they could get than I did before the season started.
Yeah, I'd say that too. And also, if Kel'El Ware is going to do this, they're going to give themselves a chance to win on an nightly basis. So I think a lot of our second thoughts about them was that Kel'El Ware is only good against folding chairs. He's not just good against folding chairs, good against real players. That's massive for them.
100%. And I mean, it mattered to me just minutes wise. We've been doing this dance with other teams in the Big Ten. We always say we think it's really important to keep the guys that could be problematic locker room guys happy. Kel'El Ware is never going to be unhappy playing 36 minutes. No matter what happens to this team, if Kel'El Ware is that important to the team that he's playing 36 minutes, you're not going to have a disaster locker room. At least you shouldn't, as long as Mackenzie Mgbako uses DoorDash. Then I think you're going to be fine. I feel like I had one more Indiana thing, but I'm forgetting it right now. So I guess we can just move on.